Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Evander Slay Reviews. In today's video I'm going to be heading to For the Love of Horror Manchester 2026. That's right, HorrorCon has flown around once again. So I'm going to be traveling to Manchester and showing you everything that For the Love of Horror has to offer. This is going to probably be my longest vlog. I've combined all the clips from 2 days that I was at the convention, so be expecting this to be over an hour long, and I hope you all enjoyed this video as much as I did editing it. So I really hope you all enjoy it. Sit back, relax, and I'm gonna take you all on a tour to For the Love of Horror 2026. So I hope you all enjoy and stay spooky. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I am out here in Manchester for the Love of Horror 2026. So I'm going to take you guys all around the con. So without further ado, let's go check out For the Love of Horror 2026. So after going around all the traders, I'm now going to go for my photo shoot with the Blade Duo. So without further ado, let's go and have the photo shoot.
Thanks for coming out. Hi everyone.
Matthew Lillard. Can you imagine?
Matthew Lillard, everybody. Make some noise.
He's just like that in real life, let me tell you. He's a gentleman.
Two stars of the iconic Blade. One brings an icy, terrifying charisma. The other one brings edginess and humor. So we are going to have ourselves a great time as we go back in history. And we welcome, let's hear it for Donald Logue and Stephen Norton! And raise the record across themselves, Stephen motherfucking Norton! First of all, how awesome is this? Make some noise, Manchester, yes!
Yeah. How you guys doing? Manchester. All right.
It is so awesome to have you guys here. I know you've had a long day, so we really appreciate you taking the time to come and speak to us. Don't we appreciate it? Yes!
Thank you so much. We've had so much. This has been such a great day.
Yeah, talk in the mic. You gotta talk in the mic.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to talk some shit. No, this has been a great day, and it's great to see Stephen again. But honestly, both of us were just talking about how amazing this show was, the people here in Manchester, how loving, how appreciative. So thank you so much.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's great. Like so many people that came with things from movies that I don't always get, and like just great people, nice people, people with taste, people that are smart moviegoers, and it's awesome to meet people too at these things. I don't do these a lot, but this has been maybe my favorite one I've ever done. I've only done like 3.
Absolutely.
So let's party. Hey-o.
Well, you guys have such a diverse career, both of you as individuals, but this movie, Blade, has retained such importance in pop culture. Does it blow your mind that after all this time, Blade is still making such a hit? I mean, people can't wait for the Blood Rave later on tonight. It's gone across generations. Does it blow your mind that it's still having this impact, still getting this reaction even now?
Yeah, I mean, I think, Steve Norrington is a genius who directed the first Blade, and I think my original meeting with him made me curious about, it was also kind of the biggest paycheck I had made up until then, but I was doing a lot of darker, kind of more dramatic movies that I was into. I worked with Jack Nicholson, I worked with Harvey Keitel, I worked with all these guys that taught me how to do what I think I do now, and I had great teachers, and then Blade was this commercial kind of piece that I was afraid that I was going to be a sellout, it's going to be cheesy, but I always remembered movies like The Lost Boys and movies I grew up watching that I loved, and I always had a thing for vampires. They're very there's a sex appeal to it, there's an adrenaline, there's a desire, a thirst, and it's just always kind of a fantasy that I liked in movies as a kid. So when he kind of had that meeting with me and told me what he wanted to do, I thought, you know what, this guy's not only going to make a great movie, I think, and be a visionary, but I got a great sense of freedom to play the part how I wanted to. Donald was free to ad-lib. We, found the lighter moments, we found the darker moments, and he just really laid the foundation for us to do our thing. And the fact that it's was kind of the first Marvel movie, and also brought Marvel back and to what we have today, which is Marvel. I toast Stephen Arrington for that vision, and that's who made it happen, you know.
He's a missed talent as well. It'd be great to see him coming back. It'd be great to see him coming back.
I mean, he's been offered every huge movie, but he just doesn't really play the game, you know. He doesn't want to entertain notes and executives, and you know, he just doesn't want to do it. And you know, God bless him. Some people aren't made for it, but I mean, he's a better director than all of them working in that genre today. I mean, you know, he'd do cartwheels over the Russo brothers any day.
Nice. What about for you, Donald? Does it blow your mind after all this time?
It does, and my take on it's very different because, you know, when this thing was happening, you know, Steven, as he said, it was like I was watching this guy. I remember seeing him in The Power of One. Do you remember that movie? As a young South African boxer. I mean, I couldn't believe how great an actor, like Steven's just such an amazing actor. And my career is very varied. As a sidekick guy, as a very character actor, I think my range is pretty wide, but Quinn in Blade was really a two-line, he was really like a background part.
Right.
And
you made him live, baby.
But it was Steven, like we became such tight friends off the bat that I think Norrington was like, oh,
let's run with this.
Let's run with this. And so I credit Steven for being so embracing of that, and Norrington, who's a genius, and then I will say, I can't go through them, but I have 1,000 anecdotes in my life where something crazy is happening, and in the middle of it, someone will stop and say, "Are you the dude who played in Blade?" You know what I mean? Like, it is by far and away, and I have a trucking company, and I drive trucks, and a lorry company, and my partner's like, "It's always Blade, isn't it?" Because it always is kind of Blade.
Is there I know you were given that little bit more free wheel to really sort of flesh out the character. It's a rare moments of humour in a movie that is so intense and is full tilt boogie from the opening moments. Is there any of your favourite ad-libs maybe from on set that made it into the film? Any particular favourites?
Well, there was one where we were just fucking around and, excuse my language, we were messing around, and what was the one you were like, oh, when he does the this and the that.
Yeah, that one, but also the naughty.
Yeah, so
people like the naughty thing. He said.
Yeah, I have a friend named Greg Dooley. He's a musician, and he's always like, I think I'm going to be naughty.
Yeah.
You know, it's just his kind of. And so that was our joke back and forth. And
he was in the Backbeat band in the film Backbeat. Greg Dooley, Afghan Wigs, great singer. He was Lennon's voice. He was Lennon's voice on that soundtrack.
So. And in fact, before I went to audition for Blade, I was hanging out with this guy, Greg Dooley, and I said, oh, I have to, you know, his girlfriend had braided my hair, and I said, oh, I have to go to this audition, so I have to get, and he goes, why don't you fucking go like that, man? You look cool. Like, this guy's a vampire, he's supposed to be so, anyway, yeah.
That time when we did Blade 1, I think he had just finished U.S. Marshals with Tommy Lee Jones. He was doing something else. He was just one after the other. And but you know, I had an amazing double that I met on that movie that became my stunt double for many years, Clayton Barber. And he's a genius, and he's still, you know, Ryan Coogler uses him on all the Creed movies. He's the second unit director on I don't know if it was Black Panther, but I mean, he's done a lot with Coogler, and he's just an amazing guy. He's still a good friend of mine, and I met him on that movie, and he really did all the crazy shit. I mean, that guy was, for a white guy, he could do some crazy shit, you know? And so he was like doubling every white guy that got hot in the business, and then I couldn't get him, and I'm like, Clay, we started together, come on, man. And then, you know, but he was I credit a lot to Clayton Barber, and also Jeff, the stunt coordinator, trying to remember everybody's names, but yeah, Jeff Ward. I mean, there was some great martial arts going on in that, and you're right, it was kind of ahead of that wave of movies that really set the bar. You know, Matrix, I love the first Matrix, you know, Crouching Tiger. You're definitely right on the money with that stuff. It was a new thing to bring into the big format, so.
What about for you, Donald, training for that? What about you bringing that physicality? Because you're involved in some, as much as you're wisecracking and bringing those elements of humor, you're involved in some intense stuff in there as well.
You know, when I was younger, I mean, I just turned 60, so it's so strange because if you read
for those of you that missed that, that was meant to be a sharp intake of breath and what the fuck.
But the weird thing is now when someone says, okay, you read a script and it's like you're chasing people down a street, or back then when we were young, it was like game for everything. Could do some fighting, you know, or had boxed when I was a kid, and Steven's incredibly great with that physicality. Wesley's such a good fighter that he's easy to work with because he's so precise and his timing is good. But
he also had an incredible stunt double. Remember Clay, his guy? It looked exactly like him. I mean, like the Clayton Barber, my double, didn't look anything like me. But he was white and he was my size and he could do all this crazy shit. So he got, you know, hired. But Wesley's awesome at that shit.
Wasn't there a thing too, like in the warehouse? So we didn't shoot in a traditional studio. It was an old shampoo factory in Canoga Park or something.
Yeah, it was this massive, like probably, you know, 50 times the size of this space. And we shot, it was like not on a Warner Brothers lot or anything. We kind of shot it. We took over this space, and that's where we did the Blood Club. And the Blood was. Do you know this story? Do you know about the Blood?
I avoided like the Blood Club. I sat off.
Well, anyway, they had these tanks. Like they had a tank probably as big as the audience of this panel right now. Huge, like cyclone-looking thing. And they had two of them, and the blood was in there. You know, the candy blood or whatever they were gonna then put through the sprinkler system in the ceiling. So it was so hot one day, I guess in the heat in the valley, the blood, it created like a bacteria, sort of, you know? So like, we did this crazy scene, but after the scene, like, it was a whole thing with the studio because people were like, you know, suing and stuff because they got a rash or something. I mean, it wasn't gonna kill you, but it was still like,
it was pretty bad.
The shit was back, like it created, it didn't have enough air to breathe, the liquid. So the shit that was coming down was really not great, you know? But
people were dancing on it,
yeah.
And then it would run through a system in the ground.
And then recycle.
Like,
and then recycle. I mean, it was.
People are sweating and
Nothing bad happened. I mean, you know, movies can be intense. You know, people get hurt. You know, I mean, luckily on Blade, everything was pretty smooth for the most part.
I dislocated my jaw in the hospital scene when I jump up off the table. Right. And then so I dislocated my jaw and they took me to the hospital. I'm in the blood. I was in a burn suit. And then my stunt double, it was really awesome dude, he jumped out the window into the ambulance and he broke his femur.
Oh shit.
And so they were taking him to the hospital as I was, it was pretty wild, but so we were a gang in the movie, but we were a gang in real life. Like Wesley had his own world, we had our world.
Okay.
And when filming was over, we'd kind of hang out at my house and go out to different things. And we kind of, us vampires kind of became.
Yeah, Steve really gave us like the freedom. I mean, he told me, you know, he laid me out Frost's apartment, you know, kind of my first big walk through the penthouse, you know, and when I bite the girl, throw her in the pool, bite this one, you know, and I'm just kind of working my way through. And he's like, own the space, whatever you want. And I'm like, all right, well maybe I'll start off and I'll come over here and then I'll bite this chick, throw her in the pool, then I'll come over here, get a cup of coffee, maybe I'll get a donut, then I'll see this guy and I'll take him out. then I'll come over here, and then, you know, and he just gave me the freedom to do all this shit, and that was really, really fun and cool, and that he believed in me to do that, and I think that's why there's a freedom to, in a little bit more your typical villain-esque kind of side of a film like this with a superhero and the villains. I think Blade 1 sparked in that way was it wasn't like an army of villains. It was really just me and you and a few other guys and Arlie, and we had the freedom. Arlie was from, Spain, and she was this beautiful European striking face, and I haven't done a lot of acting before.
She was a dancer.
She was awesome, you know, and I was like, Steve was like, this
Tracy
is the girl.
Lords and...
yeah, Tracy was cool.
So, cool. Yeah, we were likable. We were maybe more likable than that.
Oh, wow.
We were likable villains, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's kind of rooting, as cool as Blade is, we're kind of rooting for the vampires a little bit in the movie.
Yeah.
I heard someone say the other day...
Well, maybe also because we speak, and Blade didn't talk that much. So they gravitate to the human side of things.
Awesome. Thank you for that class question, my friend.
Can I swear?
Well,
yeah, go
I'll
for
have to phone your mother.
I think that's absolutely fine.
Please do.
But it involves the question.
Yeah, go for it.
Well, as you know, the 90s was full of one-liners, and there was an infamous one for Blade when he says, "Some motherfuckers always want to ice skate uphill." I look at that bizarrely because I'm like, what? And I bet that was ad-libbed in.
That was Wesley's line. Yeah, no, I think that was something he wanted to say. I remember, and it was like a big trailer moment too, I think, at one point in the marketing. You know, I mean, Wesley had good ideas. Wesley's a really smart dude, you know, and I was only there for the first one, then they went off and did the two others, you know, but he's always was a smart businessman and very smart with how he wanted Blade to be portrayed. Almost, I was worried about him a little bit because when we did the press, you know, do you remember he dressed as Blade for the press?
I did.
So like, you know, as actors, I wasn't going to dress as Deacon Frost to go on David Letterman. You know what I mean? I love my job and shit, but at the end of the day, I'm Steven playing this character, right? So I went on David Letterman, and I was just me, you know? And then Wesley went on David Letterman, and he was Blade, you know? The whole suit and the things and the bullets and the swords and all the props. And David Letterman asked me, he's like, why did he dress as Blade in my interview with Wesley? And I said, I don't know, Dave, you might want to ask Wesley. But I think he's pretty in it right now, you know, through the release of this movie. So, but, you know, he's a real character, but he was always really nice to me. And I think he knew from day one that I was going to put up a bit of a fight, you know, because I had come from working with such great actors that I wasn't going to kind of just lay down and play the bad guy the way he wanted me to. I was going to do it my way, and Steve, I had the backing of my director, who really is my boss in my job. Grab me a pint. Thank you.
Just finally, gentlemen, again, I think everyone wants to show their appreciation for you coming here and talking about Blade. What's next for both of you? What can we be excited about seeing you both in next? Donald?
I kind of pivoted a bit. I wrote this book with I wrote Danny Trejo's memoir. Danny's like my day-to-day best friend, and so I got a book deal. So I wrote his book that came out. It's out in England, and I've been writing a book for a couple of years.
Awesome.
That's about trucking and woodworking and log. I live in the Pacific Northwest, and but yeah, just staying open. I've been doing it like Steven for almost 4 decades.
Yeah.
I'm super open to everything, but also my approach is a little different than it used to be.
Yeah.
So, and the business is changing rapidly, as I think we're all finding out. Yeah.
Put your hands
Thank
together.
you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And Steven Donald.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, if you could just grab me quickly and get a picture with these guys in the background, that would be absolutely awesome. One more time, Manchester, make some noise! see you at the Blood Rave. Let's hear for Stephen Darwin Donald.
Gobble up your order quickly before it runs away, 'cause food's a little funny at the Clown Cafe. Why not visit after school and have yourselves a bite? An appetizing appetizer served into delight. We haven't done it right unless it makes your teeth decay, 'cause food's a little funny at the Clown Cafe. A little funny at the Clown Cafe.
I love doing it, I love performing, and I just embody it. You know, sometimes I gotta think of, look around and think about something, or there's things that can piss me off, because it takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of energy being a demon.
I love it. I never thought the inspiration was being pissed off for a demon.
Well,
That makes total
not
sense.
really, but it's like, you always look for a little, if you're like, a little tired or something, but I just turn it on.
The convention experience.
Oh man, first of all, I generally really do enjoy the fans. And I've grown to enjoy them more as I get older. But the fact that you guys embrace what I do and the goofiness that I sort of am, thank you very much. With all humility, I really thank you.
Genres. You've seen them in some of the most popular TV and movies, iconic roles, and we've got with us today. So, are you ready to make them feel very welcome? We're going to try and get as many of your questions if you have them, so start thinking of those questions and I'll tell you when to line up. But please go wild and crazy and welcome to the stage. Let's hear it for David Patrick Kelly!
Warriors, come out to play. Warriors, come out to play.
Everyone, please give it up for David Patrick Kelly!
So great to be here. Thanks for coming out.
David, we're going to get to what's in your case in just hopefully a little second and have some fun with that. But first of all, I know you've done so many characters, so many intense performances. What attracts you to the roles that you've played over the years? Is there anything particular that attracts you to these roles?
Well, it's always about the poetics. It's about the larger story, So if you see Commando, for instance, and you see old Sully, he represents the mercenaries who are working for a would-be dictator, and so to be able to tell that story with the great Ray Dawn Chong, having a rocket-launched grenade shooter on her shoulder, and Alyssa Milano, and be the evil bad guy who was helping Arnie become human for the first time, because he played robots in Conan the Barbarian, but he never played just a human person. And so it was great, those kinds of stories, to be able to help tell that story, It's all about the whole story.
The whole story.
It doesn't matter how bad they are.
Do you enjoy bringing intensity to bad guy roles? Like you're talking about Arnie in that role as a good guy for the first time, but every good guy needs a villain to really work off, and you've done that with such aplomb and flair over the years. How do you go about the process of bringing your intensity to those bad guy roles to make them as thorough, memorable, but as hated as they are?
Well, it's fun to be an actor, to educate yourself, so to find, I base the thing in, we're on Commando now, so there was a couple of guys working for old Richard Nixon. They were mercenaries for him, and they ended up in Cuba because they had to be on the run, because they were working for gangsters, so you know, the kind of stories, the sub-stories, the little stories that are within the movie, you know, about why people are motivated to do the things they do is what attracts me, you know. And, you know, you just concentrate and you hold on to those details, you know, and think about, you know, something that can drive them to do what they do, which is money in this place, you know, in that part.
What was your journey into acting, into performing? Because obviously you've got those early roles in Warriors, but what was your journey, the first steps into performing?
I was a busker, you know, I was, you know, rock and roll, you know, my life was saved by rock and roll. You know, I saw the Beatles in 1965 in Detroit, you know, and it was an astonishing thing. It was like Greek drama. You know, it was at a hockey arena, and they were at where the Red Wings, my hometown hockey team, played, and they were so gigantic. They were, you know, it was immense, you know, and they only played 11 songs back in those days, you know, but it was really something, you know, to see. You know, there was something so unique about them, you know, and they came after the Kennedy assassination. Everybody was so gloomy and horrible in the U.S., and for these guys to come along and be so joyful and crazy and doing something really self-expressive, you know, you said, hey, maybe I could do that too.
Awesome, awesome. So, what was the first big break for you, or the first break into the acting world? What was the first one for you?
1970, I starred at 19 years old in the lead in Hair, the Broadway musical Hair, came to my hometown of Detroit. And there were other hippies there, like Meatloaf was in that with me. He was 19 as well. And we started in that together at 19 years old, and it was a crazy time, a horrible time, you know, and Vietnam was still raging, and we all would march and protest. And that show, if you ever knew the show Hair, was all about hippies protesting and against the war and stuff like that. But we would take part in real protests, you know, and so we came to Washington, D.C., Meatloaf and I, and our job was to levitate the Pentagon. And we did it. We levitated the Pentagon, but I like to say you had to look quick for it to happen, you know. But you saw it. I think it happened.
Has music always been a passion of yours? I mean, you talk about busking and being in Hair, being in those type of roles. Has music always been a huge influence to you throughout your career, an inspiration almost?
Yeah, before acting was always music. We always had bands, you know, and we covered the British invasion, as we called it, back in the 60s when I was in my high school band, you know. But I played because of the Beatles. Anything different was cool, you know. They had sitars and different sounds coming in. So I saw this mandolin, and this is what I played as a rhythm guitar. So I like to say I'm one of the precursors of what we call psychobilly. Instead of hillbilly bluegrass music, we played psychedelic music on this, you know. And so I played the Beatles and Hendrix and you know, the people of the 60s, you know, plus started writing my own songs as well.
Incredible, right. We'll jump about a little bit in your career. I think we've got to talk a little bit about the Warriors. It's fantastic, that's awesome. Were you, even today, 2026, all these years later, it's still such a cultural phenomenon that is birthed. It's influenced pop culture right across the board. Were you aware when you were making this movie, I mean obviously you're crafting something, but were you aware what a hit it was going to be, what a cultural influence it was going to be?
No, I thought it was, if you know, there's so many film people here, but Roger Corman was a great producer. He gave Martin Scorsese and Coppola and George Lucas, I think, their first De Niro, their first breaks. And he used to do what we called drive-in movies back then, you know, about Hell's Angels gangs and you know, wonderful wild action films, you know, that played at the drive-in theaters. You know, did you have drive-ins here?
I think we've had a couple of drive-ins in the UK, but not many. They don't tend to last. It rains a lot here, so
right.
We really electricity and no, it's not a good idea.
Well, that's what we had, you know. So I read the Warriors script, and I thought it was a I thought it was a Roger Corman movie. I thought it was a genre film, and I guess it was in a way, but for some reason it had a magic about it, that it was the beginnings of hip-hop culture, you know, so it's still referenced in hip-hop to this day, you know. Run the Jewels did a cover, you know, if you know that band, you know, and so it became this, you know, this kind of meeting place for hip-hop culture and people who had never seen themselves expressed on stage before, you know, on screen before. And, you know, how it became a cultural phenomenon, I'm not quite sure, but I think it had something to do with that. People who had never seen themselves, you know, because it was up against all the big Hollywood movies, but it still was #1 around the world. But I heard it was banned here in the UK when it first came out in 1980, you know, and, you know, it was a very exciting time. My first film, and, you know, I thought the issues that it was dealing with, you know, were really important. They had seen me in a Broadway musical. I was singing James Taylor songs. And so that's why Walter wanted me to come up with the come out to play thing, because he'd heard me sing. He said, I want you to sing him something. There was nothing in the script. And he'd heard me singing these songs, and so I said, but I don't want to sing some lyrical tune, you know, we got to do something different. So that's the way it came out, to come out to play.
Oh, that's so cool. My friends, we're going to get to something on VHS here. It was quite difficult to get a hold of, but your role in that, I always remember my dad, who loved movies as he aged. As soon as you popped on screen, he went, bad guy. Because everything he'd ever seen, you went, he went, bad guy, this guy. It was such an iconic movie because it was kind of ahead of its time. It was opening up the horror genre in a different way. Obviously, Brandon Lee was set to look like his star was going to rise in Hollywood. Any experiences from the Crow movie and making that stays with you today?
So many. He was a great guy. It was a horrible tragedy, of course, but we wanted to finish it, you know, and so there's a connection here to the UK. So after Brandon's tragic passing, and there's so many stories. So Brandon's stunt double was a guy named Chad Stelsky, who then later would direct me in John Wick. You know, he was Brandon's stunt double on The Crow. And so after Brandon's passing, there was a break, and we didn't know if we were going to finish it. So I came here to London to visit my brother who was living here. I went to Stratford to see Kenneth Branagh in Hamlet. And down the street from Shakespeare's house, one of them, was a bookstore. And I found in there John Milton's Paradise Lost. And I brought that back when we decided to reshoot the ending of The Crow, and you can see it in the finished film. So that comes from Stratford. I had this William Blake illustrated version of Paradise Lost, and it's in the film now, where we break into their apartment. And yeah, quite tragic, but I'm glad we finished it for Brandon. And I like to say, going back to that Commando thing and James Dean again, that The Crow is the rebel without a cause for that generation, you know, because that soundtrack is so incredible. And you know, I'm gonna sing a little snippet of one of the songs for you very soon. It Can't Rain All the Time, one of my favorite ones. And you know, so there's so many memories, but you know, I'm glad we finished it for Brandon's legacy. And I'm from Detroit, and the guy who wrote it, James O'Barr, was from Detroit. So it's a cartoon version of my hometown. You know, it's you know, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on in Detroit, and you know, I wanted to do something that was based in my hometown. So, some of the story.
Oh, that's so cool. Thank you very much. Big round of applause for that one, if you don't mind. What a treat. We're going to hear a bit of music at the end. We've only got...
Can you hear that? I hear the pounding feet on the streets below, and the women crying that my children know there's something wrong, and it's so hard to believe that love will prevail, but it can't rain all the time. sky won't fall forever. And though the night be long, my tears won't fall, my tears won't fall, my tears won't fall forever. When I'm lonely, in the middle of the night, and I wish you were here. I wish you. I hear the pounding feet on the streets below, and the children crying. Mothers know there's something wrong, and it's so hard to believe that love will prevail. And it won't rain all the time, the sky won't fall forever. And though the night be long, your tears won't fall, your tears won't fall, your tears won't fall forever. That's it for me.
Ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between, please, can you give it up for David Patrick Kay? On the count of three, make some massive noise for yourselves, guys. 1, 2, 3, let me hear you!
Alrighty, so future Evander here. I just wanted to take the time to say a massive thank you to Monopoly Events for how amazing their work was this weekend at For the Love of Horror Manchester. I am absolutely exhausted right now. I am burnt out, but it was all worth it. Honestly, it was such an incredible event. I got to see Matthew Leonard and Skeet Ulrich in person, which is absolutely insane. I even got to see a lot of subscribers as well, and I just want to say a massive thank you to everybody that came up and said hello to me and say that you love the channel, you love the vlogs, and it's conventions like this that I love going to, just seeing everybody coming up to me, and it really is a great feeling. So I just want to say thank you to everybody that I saw this weekend. Thank you for all the love, thank you for all the support, and thank you all so much for watching these videos. It really does mean a hell of a lot that I'm doing something right. And yeah, I just want to say thank you to Monopoly Events also for an absolutely fantastic event, and I cannot wait for the November event of For the Love of Horror. So that is enough of me rambling on. I hope you all enjoyed the footage. Yes, it is 2 days worth of footage, over an hour long. It is my longest video that I've ever had to do, so I hope every single one enjoyed this. And if you did, please make sure that you give this video a massive thumbs up. Don't forget to like, subscribe, favorite, and share. And I'll see you all in the very next video. And until then, happy Blu-ray hunting, everybody. And to all you spooky fans, stay spooky. So, all my love to everybody. All my best. And peace.